Hello and welcome to CareSmarts 360 on Air. I'm Erin Cal at CareSmarts 360. AI is changing how home care agencies attract caregivers, reach prospective clients, and show up when families search for care. But with new AI tools appearing almost every day, it can be difficult for agency owners to separate practical opportunities from the hype around AI. Our guest for this podcast has spent more than a decade working across digital marketing, partner success, business growth, and franchise strategy. Amanda Jerele is the Chief Operating Officer at ChoiceLocal, where she works with teams and partners to build scalable strategies and drive growth. Her experience also includes leading partner success and digital solutions teams and working with franchise brands and franchisees to support their growth. Through her work with franchise and home care businesses, Amanda has seen how agencies are approaching marketing, recruitment, and growth in an increasingly digital landscape. In this episode of the Care Smarts 360 podcast, we discuss where AI is creating real opportunities for home care agencies, how it can support caregiver recruitment and client growth, and what agency owners should actually prioritize. We also explore how AI is changing the way families search for care, what agencies need to do to remain visible, and what the future of AI-driven home care marketing could look like. Welcome to the podcast, Amanda.
Hi, Erin. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
So we'll jump right into it. My first question for you, Amanda. Recruitment is often treated as a workforce problem, but there is also a marketing problem. Agencies need to reach the right people and give them a reason to apply. Where can AI make the biggest difference in that part of the recruitment funnel?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that's really important to consider is that you first need to treat it more like a marketing funnel, right? Not just an HR problem that you're trying to solve or seats that you're trying to fill. You really need to constantly think about that. In the
Mhm.
home care space, it's a true balancing act. And I remember I used to work a lot one-on-one directly with agency owners, and that was always the opening conversation was, okay, where are we at right now? Right? What's the issue today? Do we need more care leads, more caregivers? So that's really important in the first place. And then really understanding your best caregivers, where they come from, what that looks like to you, what that perfect world is, and tailor that messaging accordingly. Now, when we talk about AI, where that really comes into play is that speed to lead, right? So the follow-up process, the stuff that maybe some of us are really good at, some of us not so good at, depending on the person, depending on the day. But if we can take that off the table and really focus on the human element, that's what makes that really important and makes you stand out because you can pour all of that energy into that. And you're really going for not just more applicants, but you're going for the right applicants. So anything that you can do to really focus in on that is really important. I think another thing that is often overlooked is you want to think about how AI plugs into the gaps in your own organization, right? So it's not always cookie cutter. It's not the same for every organization, just like you would do with like a leadership team or any sort of hiring. You want to complement what it is that you're really good at and
Mhm.
use AI to support, right? So if you're a very, tech focused CEO and you're in the weeds, you're probably going to hire somebody to go out and talk to people. If you're a relationship person, you're probably not spending all your time coding. So when we talk about where can AI fill those gaps, a lot of times it is that speed to lead, but it also might be helping with the messaging or helping with those things that are weaknesses for your team currently. So really think about not just what works for everybody, but what helps, kind of complement your team in a really smart way.
Right, absolutely. And Amanda, there's no shortage of AI tools promising to help agencies grow. How should a home care owner distinguish between AI that solves a real marketing problem and AI that is simply another tool to manage?
Yeah, this is increasingly difficult, right?
Absolutely.
So it used to be a couple years ago, this seemed so simple, right? You would see a tool and say, hey, that solves that problem. That's perfect. It's exactly what I need.
Mhm.
Now you're faced with hundreds of tools that are aimed at solving that problem. So it gets really tricky. But I think the first thing is starting with just that, starting with the problem and really making sure you're solving for the right problem. We're doing a lot of this internally right now with our own processes. And as we look to develop solutions, say, okay, we could do this and that and the other, and we can build this. But one thing that's really helped us frame this out is we'll kind of pause and say, well, let's think about what our perfect day looks like. If we think about, we're sitting down in the morning and we have our perfect day doing all the things about our job that we love most. What is it that we're doing? What is it that we're no longer doing, or that just is kind of handed to us to support us in that role?
Mhm.
And going through that exercise, both as an individual, but also with our teams, is super beneficial because you also find the overlap and what tools and solutions can really help not just the individual, but the entire team. And how do we prioritize from there? So I think that's a really good way to look at it. It's not necessarily what it does, but it's what do I want to do, right?
Mhm.
And then you kind of fill it in from there.
Sure. And many home care agencies rely on the same job boards, social platforms, and recruitment messages to reach caregivers. How can AI help agencies make their recruitment marketing more targeted rather than simply increasing the amount of content they produce?
Yeah. The amount of content is something that I think a lot of people fell into that because it all of a sudden did become so easy to do that and to produce
Right.
content in bulk. And that
Mhm.
was really great and exciting at first. But again, just like with a lot of tools, a lot of people are doing that now. So you really have to dial it back and focus on that quality. I think where AI really plays in here is you have a chance to better analyze what is working and what's not working. You can kind of, look at your own data and say, okay, this has generated a lot of really great applicants who we've been able to hire and bring on board, and they've, stayed kind of past that 60 or 90-day mark. So how do we take that level of insight, right, the retention piece months down the road, and bake that into what worked really well to attract those folks? So I think, that rather than focusing on, the initial application count, right, which is where a lot of people tend to go, hey, I got X amount of applicants from this ad. They're really looking at, did we hire them and did they stay? So AI can be really, really helpful in understanding that data a little bit deeper. So that's a great way for you to kind of plug in with AI.
Sure, yeah. And when a caregiver sees an agency's job posting or social content, like we're speaking about, what makes the difference between someone scrolling past it and someone actually applying? And where can AI help improve that part of the journey?
Yeah. So this is really tough because you do, but by nature of the role, you're going to have messaging that's really similar. So you do
Mhm.
want to think about, how can you stand out? It can be something small though. I think people tend to overthink this, right? So test things constantly. We have the ability to test at a more rapid pace, and understand that information and digest it a little bit faster. So always make sure you're looking, you're not just kind of settling for, hey, this worked, we're going to do that in perpetuity. Always be testing what's winning against something new that could be better. AI can really help you with understanding that or generating those ideas. And then ultimately, any point where you can remove friction is key. Make it
Mhm.
easier for them, right? Make it easy for them to apply, make it easy for them to move forward. That's really what you want to focus on is how do I make this a seamless process so I can get to that conversation faster with the right person?
Right. And Amanda, on the client side, families often compare several home care agencies before making contact. How can agencies use AI to understand what families are looking for and make their marketing more relevant to those needs?
Yeah, so this has changed so much, and this is so important on the client side. Um, the shift here, especially for local agency owners, um, I think people used to think of search as more transactional. People are searching for home care,
Right.
right? And they still are, but that starts earlier on. That starts with a problem, right? So, mom has dementia, or dad's getting discharged, or they're worried about falling. We a lot of times would see this, in January, we'd start to see, hey, a lot of these questions are coming in because they're recognizing maybe after the holidays that something's amiss and they need to start considering what those options look like. With AI, people are having those conversations, whether they're doing that on Google or they're doing it through ChatGPT or Claude or whatever platform they're using, they're starting those conversations and they're getting answers to those questions well before they're even getting to your website.
Mhm.
But what's important is your website is really informing, those engines, what to use and what to say about you. So, we used to have, if I looked at a strategy for a new partner, we'd say, okay, well, we're going to cover the basics and kind of optimize these pages first and do these things first. And maybe down the road, hey, we'll add or update that FAQ section on your website. Well, now that's super important, right? Because not only are you paying attention to the questions that they're asking, there's also a technical element baked in as well. So you're looking at both technical and content in your optimization. And that's helping to shape how they're searching. So it's really important from an optimization standpoint to understand those questions, to do that, to really understand what they're asking. We have tools like we can use in Google to see what they're searching for, all of that jazz. But it's also a really great exercise to get with your team and go through, hey, let's think about the top, 20 questions that people are asking us
Mhm.
when they call. You can also, mine that information, right? Leveraging AI, kind of compile those insights, say, okay, let's whittle this down and prioritize those questions as well. So we know how to tackle those and how to answer those questions appropriately. It's a really great exercise to go through and really get people thinking, because not only from, a lead generation type standpoint, but even just the way folks answer those on the phone, the way that they talk to people, the more confidence they have around what they're going to be asking and the best way to address those, it's going to improve just the, operations of your business as well.
Right, absolutely. And for agencies that are already using AI to create content or run marketing campaigns, what's one mistake you see them making that can actually make their recruitment or client growth efforts less effective?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, you can't use AI to replace.
Mhm.
It does accelerate, but more content isn't always better marketing.
Right.
And generic AI content, it's more easily identifiable, right? It's going to continue to be more easily identifiable. And so AI doesn't truly know kind of the essence of your brand and everything behind who you are. It can't fully capture that human element. Humans are still going to provide the judgment and the context and everything that goes with that. And anything that you pour into AI that is incorrect or rushed or, bad data in, it's going to be bad information out. So you really need to make sure that in the grand scheme of things, they're using AI to kind of do the grunt work, so to speak, or the things that they maybe don't want to do, and can allow the humans to do that higher value work and build those relationships. Really focus on that. It's easy to get caught up in, hey, I can do this now, I can do that, just because you can, but it's really important to focus on what you should be doing, and ultimately that end goal of making sure that you're helping your clients.
Absolutely. And Amanda, my last question here for you. Looking ahead, how do you think AI will change home care marketing over the next few years?
Yeah. So I think we're going to see a lot more personalization, right?
Hmm.
Everyone's going to start to have a much more, unique experience along the way, which is really exciting, because we all want that, right? We all want to have a really personalized experience with any brand or any business that we're working with. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I think another thing is that kind of the speed to lead, the automated tasks, those things are going to become table stakes. So we just have to be doing them. You have to get really good at those. If you're not doing, those things that are kind of more black and white when it comes to how you operate and really nailing those down, your competition is going to jump far ahead of you. So that's going to be super important. And I think, the other thing is that I find really exciting is that um, the human element is going to be more important than ever. And we're going to be freed up to spend more time in those meaningful conversations, to get to know people, to talk to people. which is really refreshing, I think, especially after, we hear everything about AI and you think about the tech side, but it's really refreshing to think, hey, this is going to help me so that I can truly spend the time getting to know more people and having the chance to help more people. And I think that's really cool.
That's amazing. And Amanda, thank you so much for being here. There's a lot of actionable takeaways that I think our agencies tuning in will be able to work within their business. So we really appreciate your time. And for all of our listeners, this has been CareSmarts 360 on air. We will see you soon.